I'm Adam Niffen.
No, I'm Jeremy Cocaine.
This is Smith Welding Restoration. Nothing to add to that?
Well, it's where we work. It's what we do. We make things pretty.
YouTube land, how you doing today? Adam Niffen, Smith Welding Restoration. We have a 2000 Windstar, Ford Windstar minivan in here. Let's kind of take a look, see what's going on. Control arm, stabilizer linkage. This van's going to get two of them. I've only got one side here. This is the driver's side. Always inspect your parts, figure out where the hell they go before you start pulling shit apart. Make sure you got the right ones. I'll pull this tire off and do a quick inspection. Your control arms, a lot of times on these modern vehicles, when your lower ball joint goes out, they tell you to replace the whole control arm. In a situation like this, generally speaking, the control arm is in fact pre-loaded. I'll get into a little more on that and show you how to preload the control arm before you tension all the bolts down. There are in fact torque specifications, but I can guarantee even the guys at your Firestone Service Center, you go till it's tight. It's suspension, you go till it's tight. Most suspension components run between 60 and 120 pounds of torque across the board on pretty much anything, because it's cranking down till it's tight. That's kind of the theory involved. So we're gonna get this tire off. We're gonna get this lower control arm off. I'm gonna try to take it through with you step by step. Go from there. All right, so usually these are like a 19 or a 21. Today they're 19. This isn't something you need air for, but it helps a hell of a lot, and I've got it, so I will be using it. Not too bad. Get that tire laid down, otherwise you're going to have issues later. I mean, if you go through, you inspect this system, the tire rods are in pretty poor shape. That's not our focus today. Our focus is going to be this lower control arm. One thing you want to keep track of, when people supply you parts, inspect the components as far in advance on the tear down as you can. If they got you the wrong shit, you're doing it twice. It appears everything's correct. So really at this point we've got three bolts. We've got the lower ball joint, the front A-arm bushing, and the rear A-arm bushing. The whole thing should drop out, and I should be able to set the whole new piece in there. And then we load the system, tighten the bolts down, and we'll get into that in a second. We're going to go ahead and get the frame, the subframe up on a jack stand. I went as far as taking the wheel off to make sure I had the parts I needed and inspect. I'm going to get it on a jack stand. We're going to need this later, so don't get rid of your jack yet. No, I don't know why it skipped like it. Alright, we're safely on the jack stand. You saw that. That doesn't happen but 1 in 1,000 times. That 1,000th time, don't be fucking under the car. The slight incline we've got, or decline in the middle of the shop here, the rear wheels rolled forward just a little. It's a front wheel drive car. All your stop and stay is here. Back wheels are rolling freely. I was away from the car, everybody was clear. Something like that happens. That's why you don't just drop a jack. Sensible. Alright, let's move on. We've got a pinch bolt down here. That's easy enough to get out. Now I'm going to crawl around on the floor and see what I've got underneath this. Alright, you see the dazzling array of bullshit we've got here. I have what we finally call shaft here in the shop. because he is a bad motherfucker. Don't need this per se. A 1/2 inch drive ratchet would be fine. You're going to need an 18, a 19, and a 21 on the 1/2 inch drive for this process. I got a 3/8 drive long handle ratchet, a 10mm, the deep wall should work fine, and an 18mm wrench. Boop. Alright. The air we'll be able to use on part of the process, but not all of it. Hence why we need the big breaker handle. Now I'll run this down really quick. You've got a 10mm on a stud style bolt back here, with 21 out here. You get the wrench, the ratchet inside, get the air out here, no big deal. This side over here, it will take the 18mm wrench on the inside and the 18mm socket on the outside, and we will be using this guy. Okay? This is an 18mm socket for the pinch bolt on the front side of it. And on the back side for the nut, you're going to run it back off with an 18mm socket. That should be, all this is just for scenery at this point. This should be all the tools it takes to break this down. You're looking at 18, 19, 21, 1/2 inch drive, deep walls, preferably for me, I like deep wall sockets over 3/8 drive 10mm, 3/8 drive ratchet, 1/2 inch drive ratchet, air impact's nice to have if you can have it, and an 18mm wrench. Have you got all that? Are we clear on the very few things we really need to replace this very major key component for your vehicle? And what we've got here is the bushings are fried, and the lower ball joint on the vehicle is fried. Bushings are savable. And then when it comes to your control, not your control arms, your stabilizer linkage, you should be able to, there you go, 18mm top and bottom. That one down there will need, you'll have to do it with a wrench or a ratchet. This one up here you can do with a gun. See that little hole in the middle? That's actually probably an 8mm hole in the middle. Plus you've got, oh no, it's not an 8mm hole in the middle. Plus you've got this hex outside. What you do is you get your through bolt ratchet on here, or a wrench and a ratchet or a wrench on here, because this will spin. It's like a ball joint. When it goes bad, this will spin. Sometimes you can hit it with air and it'll knock it right off, no big deal. That's where we're at right now. That's what's going on. I'm going to get some parts tore down and show you aftermath. Okay, when I left you off, we had our basic tools set out. I have added one hard chisel, one whammer. This is a 16-ounce dead blow ball peen. I love this thing. Not necessary to have specifically this. And one punch. Okay, that gets the bolts out. All the bolts need to be persuaded out. Everything's under tension here. This, you've got a snatch knuckle in the pinch bolt. There we go. You got a pinch bolt on the back side. You drive that in there, the whole ball joint should just drop right out. Alright, we've got everything cleared now except for this front bolt. Do little dance. Boop. Alright, off screen and there. Right there. This right here, the bottom of your screen. The bolt, I got punched 90% of the way through. We got to knock that one the rest of the way out. We got the other two bolts out of the system. We'll worry about this after the fact. Alright, so we're kind of at the end of the process. Let me show you. We have the new part in place. See how that's twisted? Well, I don't have the ball joint connected down here. I got that in position, I got a bolt started. That's where we start at. This will slide up into its position here. Get the pinch bolt at least started. We will use the jack in order to press that into position. Okay, so the front bolt, let me show you what we got going. That bolt there, I actually had to drive a punch through it to get it laced in from behind, because it actually lays down inside the frame, and the bolt itself is like a 10mm bolt that's cut in hex, right? A ratchet there is holding on to it. So it took some lining up to do. We got it. We got that. We got nut and bolt assembly there, and of course our pinch bolts. Now our next aspect is you preload the suspension. What that means is this. I got that under the ball joint, loading it up. This is holding the weight of the car. If you just let it flop and hang low without any tension on it, you'll wear out those bushings in just a few thousand miles. You have to preload everything and pull it up where the suspension and ride should be. It's that textbook perfect. I'm sure it's not. This is how I was taught, even through certified technicians that I've worked with. This is how I know to do it. This is the best I know, and I know if you let it flop, it'll wear it the fuck out in short order. So I'm going to get these 3 bolts zipped up, and then we're going to take a look at the linkage. We loaded up the suspension, zip, that was done by hand with my big old breaker wrench. The ball joint underneath, new control arm. Now this is an 8mm, this is a 18mm. So I just used my 3/8 ratchet drive with an 8mm. If I had an 8mm for my big 1/2-inch impact, I would have put it on there, put the wrench there, and just beat that thing on. Mind you, when you've got this set up, you're tightening that bolt. I do believe is how it works. Yep. You actually are tightening that bolt to loosen the nut. Don't ask me. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's the facts. When you're doing this, when you're spinning the bolt to take the nut off, you put it to on position. Now I got to get the one down on the bottom. We'll see if this springs. It should. Go from there. It really is that simple. I'll get that one off. This whole apparatus will spring, and I'll probably have to pry it back into shape to drop that new part into position. Alright, steady as she goes. That was 8mm, that's a 19 now. They changed them up on us. It was, you just kind of hang out. Everything was adjustable, easy to get at. There you go. Easy peasy. Remember, to cross a bolt, it's as good as 2 nylocks. This situation here, we have steely rims, not alloy. We put those on to about 100, topside 110 pounds. Get out your clicker wrench. That beast, do you see him, my friend? My impact on setting number 3. If I move it till they don't budge no more, setting number 3 is 100 pounds to 105 pounds, which is perfect for what we're dealing with in this situation. So I know where I'm at wrenching them down. This is the one place you really want to be wary of your torque. You'll warp the rotors. You can cause yourself a lot of issues on tires. If you got alloys, cinch them down. Generally, you're like 85 to 95 pounds. And again, these are ballpark figures of just your rule of thumb issues. Go back the next day or later that day and check how tight all your lug nuts are. Alloy wheels, they will creep back off, and you lose a wheel on the highway, and family of 4, family no more. Be wary of what you're doing, know what you're doing and why. This right here is several $100 out of your pocket, off your dinner table. This will help you get past that. This is shit you can do too with Harbor Freight, simple to do tools. So you don't gotta spend a lot of money.
beginning. Have any questions? Call